An audio drama company drama in audio. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Podcast producer Newton Chottelkotte has published a set of allegations about audio drama company Rusty Quill, accusing the company of mismanagement, writing contract terms that are creator-unfriendly, and of worker exploitation, saying,
"And so I ask, what kind of a company culture would allow the communication blackouts, the internal breakdowns, the financial mismanagement? Who contributed to that culture and who was a bystander while it worsened into what we see today?" Those are questions for Rusty Quill to ask itself if it makes the choice to radically change and grow.
Some people citing the article have cancelled their Kickstarter pledges for an upcoming Rusty Quill show, though the amount cancelled so far appears to represent just over 1% of the total. After we contacted the company, Rusty Quill's CEO Alex J. Newell gave Podnews a statement. In part, he says the article is full of provable factual inaccuracies, noting that its writers include individuals that hold senior positions at competitor companies that stand to monetarily gain from a reputational attack. A disclosure of Chottelkotte's freelance role at audio drama producer Fable and Folly was only added after initial publication. The named editors of the piece have not disclosed their affiliations. Tumblr appears to be where most of the discussion is on this. User Elias Bouchard, named after a character in a Rusty Quill podcast, has compiled reactions from Rusty Quill producers and others to the article. We'll link to that, Alex J. Newell's full statement, and the article itself, all from our show notes and our newsletter today. After all this, how should we attract new listeners to audio drama? Lindsay Harris-Friel writes what developers and creators can do, and if you want to support an audio drama, the Kickstarter for Halfbound, an untelling of the Odyssey, goes live today. It aims to raise $10,000 to cover production costs, and the split of how that works is published in the Kickstarter page. It's a queer musical audio drama podcast set in a post-apocalyptic Great Basin. In other news, Neon Hum has unveiled the participants for the third annual Podcasters Editors Bootcamp. The course kicks off in January. Analytics company Podtrack has added a new feature for paid customers, rankings for all your shows in your account, and historical show-level rankings as well. You need to be a Grow Your Show subscriber for access. The National Press Club and the New York Festival's Radio Awards are celebrating a new award which a podcast could win. The National Press Club Award will be awarded on April the 18th at the NAB show. And Pocket Casts appears to have slowly rickrolled us in the Apple App Store. You'll find that linked today from our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net. Boo! Boo to them! And in podcast news, the creators of How Did This Get Made have signed a further deal with SiriusXM, Earwolf and Stitcher. The multi-year extensions are to this main show, which started in 2010 and had 40 million downloads so far, and the companion series Unspooled. 2 Georgia men have been released after 25 years in prison after Proof, a true crime podcast, shed light on manufactured evidence. The podcast has been credited with the release. And The Evaporated, Gone with the Gods is new from Campside Media and Sony Music Entertainment. The show focuses on Japan's evaporated people, the tens of thousands who go missing every year, some of whom vanish on purpose. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and statements and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.